Hello everyone and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 3. We are playing as France this time in the vanilla Hearts of Iron, so this will probably make a hell of a lot more sense to just about everyone involved. Now, I just loaded the game up. I haven't touched anything. I haven't done anything yet. And what that basically means is that our whole command structure is just a complete and utter mess. It's just a mess. Looking at the right here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 completely independent armies. Basically because the French Empire is so bloody spread out in 1936. We have 3 separate command structures in France, one in the south, one in the Maginot Line region, and one in the north. We have another separate region in North Africa and one in West Africa that... we have one down in Madagascar, which is also apparently controlled by the colony in present-day Syria and Lebanon, and then we have another one all the bloody way over here in Saigon. The French have a incredibly crappy national unity. Now, this is the number that if an opponent takes more victory provinces than this number will surrender. So, like, someone only needs to take over about 33% of our victory provinces before we'll actually surrender. Just completely surrender. We give up entirely. And that's primarily because our country is just so disjointed. It's just in such a complete and utter mess. It's just in shambles. So we are going to raise the spy rating of our domestic, first and foremost. And we're not going to do counter-espionage because it's going to be almost impossible for us to actually capture enemy spies. And instead we're going to support our ruling party and primarily raise national unity. This number needs to come up if we're going to fight an effective war at all. Now, our general strategy from here on out is going to be defense against Germany. Now, we're playing as France. We can't really expect to be, striking at the heart of Berlin or what have you. We can't entirely rely on the United Kingdom, although they might do some interesting things while we're holding the line in Germany. So we're going to put a plan together for what it will actually take to hold the Germans off, and to that effect, we're going to make a new plan, and this is going to be defense. And basically, we need as few troops as possible along the existing Maginot Line. Luxembourg, I am not entirely sure we're going to be able to save. In fact, I'm willing to bet we're not going to be able to save it. But we want to use these rivers to as great an effect as possible. Now, if we can take Bitburg from them, that would be nice. But more than likely, the line is going to be something like this. And then up in this direction, use these rivers to our advantage. And we might be able to hold the line here. If not, we're probably going to end up falling back, giving up these 2 provinces to them. Now, generally speaking, the Germans attack the Netherlands before they attack Belgium, and we won't be able to get transit through either Belgium or the Netherlands until they're actually attacked, which likely means that what we'll need to do is a naval landing from probably Calais directly into here, and use a small force to attempt to protect this area right in there. We'll need a small line defending up here in Dan Helder. This is a strait, so we'll have some pretty nice bonuses if they do decide to attack us there. But we need to protect the Netherlands, and the best way to do that is to just make sure that Amsterdam doesn't fall. Amsterdam and these 2 will basically mean that the majority of the victory points of the Netherlands will still be in our hands. Now, when the Germans declare on Belgium down here, we will need to rush as quickly as possible into defensive positions along these rivers, try to take the brunt off of the German attack and then advance into actual defensive positions along this this well defensible territory. It's woods along here, and if we can get in woods and behind a river, that is fantastic bonuses. In addition, the Amsterdam will be nice to defend from. Unfortunately, it's not considered urban terrain, which always frustrates me. It just always frustrates the living daylights out of me, because otherwise it would be really easy to hold on to Amsterdam, but I guess it's just not considered an urban enough city for it to be given the urban modifiers like Essen, Dusseldorf, and Cologne are over here. And Brussels, the actual capital of Belgium, is the exact same way. In fact, we won't have the advantage of an urban defense modifier in anywhere along our line except in Strasbourg, and Paris is the next closest one. So we can't be counting on our urban defense to really help us in any way. So this initial naval landing is just there to make sure that the Dutch don't fall, and we should be able to take up fairly defensive ground behind the rivers. If we chill in Amersfoort, Utrecht, Gouda, and Rotterdam, that should be a nice front from which we can repel some of their attacks. And if not, we can always fall back to Amsterdam and hope that the Dutch army can help us out there. But the basic idea is that we don't want to give Germany access to these the resources and raw materials that the Dutch provide. We obviously can't see much here, but Belgium has a significant amount of rare materials that the Germans will need, in addition to a bunch of metal and energy. And the Dutch control a significant amount of territory over here that the Japanese will undoubtedly want for themselves. So the better we can do in that territory, the less industrial capacity Germany will have for its push on the Soviet Union. And if we can keep the majority of the fighting out of our northern region up here, this is a significant amount of victory points, and it's all plains from here to France itself. So they'd be able to just bring their tanks in right through here and around this way and to France, get a nice surround of France, and then we've basically lost at that point. Now, if we do lose, we'll go into a Free French campaign. That might be interesting. Hopefully, we won't lose. I don't really know what's going to happen with that. But I am going to put a cut in here, and we're going to completely redo our order of battle, and then figure out what exactly we will need to enact this defense policy here. So I'll be right back. We have roughly enough troops to be able to put together an effective front line on our Maginot line at this point. So without any expansion whatsoever, we can defend our existing front line against the Germans. However, that leaves us with next to nothing to use for pushing in and helping to defend Belgium and the Netherlands. At this point, we have one full-strength corps that we can use to move up in this direction, that we can afford to pull off of the Maginot line. So I've made the decision to pull all infantry out of Africa and Syria and Madagascar and even up here in Saigon. If anybody wants to take this area from us, then we're not going to put up much of a fight. Quite simply because we can't afford to defend over here when we can't even defend our home front. So that should give us about another corps, maybe another full strength corps. Maybe it'll just start the next one. We also have a startling lack of support units. We have no artillery to really attach to any of our units, and no anti-tank either. So I've taken the liberty of building 5 anti-tank brigades and 5 artillery brigades in parallel, and 5 more immediately after this is done. So this is going to take until April of this year. That's basically all we're going to be building until April this year. We do have it looks like a battlecruiser, the battlecruiser Dunkirk in production. We might as well let that finish, although I am going to drop its priority a little bit. This war will not be won in the Navy. in the seas. And we are building 4 more infantry divisions. These ones have anti-tank, primarily because the German army, while when the war starts, it won't be primarily motorized or armored, but they are going to deploy much more heavily armored units than we will be able to deploy. We haven't been able to put together our armored corps yet. I am withdrawing as many motorized units as I can from Africa, and we're grouping together our motorized units in Paris so we can see what kind of a motorized corps we can put together from our existing troops at this point. In terms of technology, we are doing fairly well. We can already build medium tank brigades, but I don't think we're going to be building very many medium tank brigades. They cost just so much in terms of our total. Like if we were to do, say, one of these, this would cost 44 industrial capacity, and that's not even as reserves. We have so many penalties to building these things, and they're just so bloody expensive to begin with, that building one of them would use literally all of our production, all of our country's production, until this was done, which is almost a full year. So expanding in the direction of armored units really isn't going to help us. At this point, what we need to do is utilize as much of our manpower as possible. Right now, if we were to mobilize, we'd only use 123.7 of our 568 manpower. So if we were to go to war right now, a significant amount of our reserves just simply would not be used in fighting. So we are going to focus on infantry expansion and on our support brigade expansion, basically to the detriment of just about anything else. Our naval situation is fairly good. Basically, the only country that can really rival us is the United Kingdom or the United States, both of which should, hopefully, be on our team. That said, we cannot take both Germany and Italy. Luckily, Germany will be to the north and will probably be focused on the United Kingdom, and Italy will be to the south, and the United Kingdom will probably do a significant amount of damage against them as well. What we will need to do is use our heavy battleships. I'm moving them back all up into Brittany over here, the port of Brest, and we will basically station them along here. If we have 3 battleships stationed in this sea zone, or in this sea zone, they will help out all of our battles along the coast significantly, give us quite a decisive advantage, maybe even swing the fights. So we're redeploying our troops at this point, and I think we should be good from here on out. I do think that we will need 2 full armies. We may not be able to deploy enough armored units to really deploy to be able to do any real offensives, but I do think we will need 2 full armies to come over here and hold this territory behind the rivers. That does mean that we will need 4 corps of infantry in each army. We have 4 corps in the Maginot army right now, but our first army has a pathetic 1 full-strength corps. So we need 3 more corps for the first army, and then 4 more corps to even start the second army. That's before the war starts. So we're going to be churning out a lot of infantry here, basically to the detriment of literally everything else. Our Air Force is not spectacular. Just getting this out there. We start out with a significant amount of tactical bombers, which is nice, but we really have no air superiority. We have 2 interceptors here and 1 interceptor here. We are a country with more bombers than fighters, and that is not good. If we can sneak it in, I would really like to build a significantly larger force of fighters, just so that we can stand up to the Germans just a little bit better. We are falling rapidly behind in terms of upgrades, but with almost 3 years until the war starts, I think that it's fine for us to only invest like 1/5 of what we need in upgrades at this point, just to keep us on the right track. I think that'll be just fine. In terms of laws, once we get enough, we will be able to enact specialist training, which is great, and as the sooner we can move from the full civilian economy to basic mobilization, the better. Like, we desperately need to do this, because right now we have 98 industrial capacity, but because of that negative 50% IC penalty, we're only able to use 66. We really need to get much better use out of our industrial capacity, which would mean that our unity needs to be at 60, and our neutrality needs to be below 70. Now, our neutrality will drop very quickly on its own as Germany takes more and more outrageous actions, but we really need to be focused on getting our national unity up as quickly as possible. So we'll see if we can go about doing that. In terms of our research and such, we cannot afford to be wasting our points on exceptionally large amounts of spies or large amounts of influence. So I'm going to do enough to influence one nation at a time in our diplomacy, and we want 0.1 spies every day, which is abysmal. You know, it's a horribly low amount of spies, but we're not going to be doing any real offensive operations with our spies. We really want to keep people in our camp. And I was actually thinking we might want to attempt a little influence job on Yugoslavia, maybe weaken their government a little bit, because they're very likely to ally themselves with the Germans. And if we can prevent them from doing that, I think that would be spectacular. We also want an expeditionary army, one that we can drop off in the Netherlands, and maybe even take a corps and drop it off in Denmark, because like we did in the last game, these straits are incredibly easy to defend. We could just drop one full corps over here of 5 infantry units, and it doesn't matter what they throw at us. They'll just never be able to take it over unless they were to do a naval landing. So properly defended, that can tie up a significant amount of their troops, and properly defended over here, we can extend this front line behind well-defensible territory, and basically be a thorn in their side until the Soviet Union shows up and starts wailing on them a little bit. But we were discussing leadership, so let's get back to that. I'm not going to worry about officers quite yet. At this point, we need to just make a token number of officers. Actually, none. We're not making any officers each day because our current training laws have nothing to do with it. I thought that had something to do with it. What am I thinking of? Here, okay, our conscription laws, I'm sorry. We actually don't have a malus. I thought we would have a malus to our officer recruitment, and that would be a waste to really invest much of anything into officer recruitment, but we actually get 100% of the value. I would like to increase the draft, maybe even all the way up to here, but this would require our unity to be much higher, and our neutrality to be much lower. So once again, in order to get better laws, we need to have our national unity up significantly more than it currently is, so we need to focus on that more than anything else. So I guess we'll do one of our leadership points each day into officer generation. We'll get 4 a day. That's really not going to be that spectacular. It's really not going to be much at all. But we need to focus on our infantry weapons, I think 2 in infantry weapons, and we need to focus on our anti-tank and our artillery. Since that's what we're going to be focusing on in terms of our army, the majority of our troops will be supported by artillery or anti-tank, and they'll be infantry divisions. We need to make sure that they are as good as physically possible. I'm not going to worry at all about our navy. Our navy is already very strong, and it's already going to be able to beat Italy and Germany's navy for most of the war, and we're going to be on the team of Great Britain. So the United Kingdom can do all the naval fighting that they bloody well want to. Now, in terms of our airplanes, we actually begin with a fairly well-researched light airplanes, which is awesome, really. It's really, really good. That means we need to focus a lot more on building these, but we do have a significant amount of tactical bombers, and all of these are really easy upgrades. The circled number here is the difficulty of the upgrade, so we might as well throw one research point into this screen. You know, we can research these 3, and maybe we'll go and go onto one of these, or maybe a basic strategic bomber to let us get some long-range bombing in. But honestly, that's yet another thing that I think we're going to need to rely on the United Kingdom for. We do not have the luxury of a decent amount of IC to be able to do rocket testing or nuclear research. It's really not in the cards for us at all. We need to worry about agriculture and education and industrial production and industrial efficiency. Those are our primary things. We need to keep those as high as possible. Information would be really nice, getting this radar. We already have all of the prerequisite researched for the construction of radar stations, but we can't rush this out right now. That would be a waste of our research points. So we are going to go into infantry warfare and operational level organization. Both of these are vitally important. We will want to rush Grand Battle Plan as soon as possible, but as of this point, it's not our primary focus. It's not our primary goal. At this point, we're going to let the game play a little bit until we can do some reorganization of our motorized divisions. And we're apparently wasting a whole bunch on consumer goods, which is nice. A little bit more production is always a good thing. There we go. So we're going to let the game play until we can do a little bit more reorganization of our motorized brigades. I told them all to meet up in Paris here, and then we will go from there. We have some units in poor supply just because the supply system is not really working very well at this point. We do have some poor infrastructure in some of our country. I guess 90% is actually fairly good. A significant amount of our country is 90%. Okay, we redeployed our transport ships. Right, you are going down here to pick up these men from Ethiopia. We want to get out of there and bring these units back up here to Marseille. There we go. And one of you is already in the 1st Mountain Corps, so we will spread you out along this front. At this point, I only have planned one corps to be defending the Italian border, which may be a poor decision on my part, but we need to focus on our other borders. Italy doesn't normally join the war until much later on, and we can really afford to sort of ignore them because this is very well defensible territory. It's mountains, and we have an urban bonus here in Nice. This is our weak spot right here, but even this is hills, so I think we'll be good here. And if we are going to do any sort of attacking in this direction, we're going to need our mountain infantry to do it, because it's mountains that we're attacking into anyway. So I think it's a good thing for us to trust our defense in that area to our mountain regiments. We are bringing home the 3rd Corps, which is the corps that has African, the corps that's in Africa, which means that the North African Front, and in fact all of Africa now, will be completely without French troops in it. We're going to want to replace some troops down here. Probably we'll bring, I don't know yet. This needs to be our first priority. If we lose in France, then we lose in Africa as well. So it really doesn't make sense to be... Alright, there we go. Here's our first negative neutrality. We just lose 3 neutrality because Germany has moved troops into the Rhineland. Into this river right here is the Rhine. It doesn't show it on the map here, but this area in here is considered the Rhineland. The peace treaty at the end of World War I basically forbid Germany from moving units into this Rhineland region. And on the 16th of March 1930, the 7th of March 1936, he occupied it, basically moved German troops into the region of the Rhineland. At this point, France got really, really pissed, historically speaking. You see, we used to be at 90 neutrality. Now we're down to 81, all the way down. It's really quick. Our national unity is going up, but it's going up at a very slow pace. But yeah, at this point in history, France got really, really angry. In fact, it's not historical for the United Kingdom and France to be allied as explicitly as they are here. They did have the same treaties in place as in World War I, where if France was attacked, Great Britain would come to her aid. But honestly, in World War I, France declared war on Germany in response to Germany's aggression, and it was only when Germany declared war on Belgium to get to France that the United Kingdom then declared war on Germany back. At this point in history, it was actually a mini-alliance here between France, Czechoslovakia, and I believe it was Hungary. Maybe it wasn't Hungary. I don't know, but France would ally themselves with countries in Europe that wanted to maintain the status quo. Countries who were willing to come out honestly and say, we have no desire to take over other people's territory. France would sign alliances with them. So Czechoslovakia and Hungary were too worried about German aggression or even Romanian or Yugoslavian aggression to be out to get more territory on their own. So they signed an alliance with France, basically saying, "Yeah, we're going to stand with you if war were to break out in the interest of maintaining the current borders." Now that alliance did break down after the Germans rose to power, and there were a couple of nasty little coups in these countries and a whole bunch of political strife. Germany was really good at influencing other countries' politics. Austria will be annexed sooner rather than later as a direct result of this. We do have enough money now to get our specialist training underway, which is always a nice thing. Yes, we do. That, once again, just increases the amount of time it takes to recruit units, but it gives them a nice little starting experience bonus. Right now, all of our units have 5% experience, whereas our new units now will come out with 25 experience, which is really, really good. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have here. Let's see, we've got armored car, and armored car. We have a light armor, a motorized, and an armored car. Armor, light armor, motorized. Armor, light armor, motorized. It may be worth our while to upgrade the cavalry into motorized because motorized are able to move at 8 kilometers per hour, and cavalry only are able to move at 6 kilometers per hour. So these are sort of gimped motorized divisions, really. But we'll move him to take advantage of that armored car. We're going to be splitting you up. Yeah. Okay, let's spread these guys out a little bit so we can get a better idea of what exactly is going on. There we go. Okay, so in terms of support units, you have support, you've got support, you don't have support. We'll move an armored car unit into there, and you don't have support yet either, but you're a stacked division anyway. So let's do this for now. Okay, and this. And now we've got an armor and a light armor, an armor and a light armor, and a motorized. Okay, you also don't have support. But I think we're going to split the light armor off of here and move you down to there, and the light armor off of here and move you over to here. And then we'll take one of these cavalry, move you over there. Let's see how that works out so far. Combine, combine, combine. We do have another motorized unit down here. Let's get rid of you. So all of you can fit on here. We'll bring you up to Marseille. Wonderful. And now this 3rd Corps we can attach to the 3rd Army, so the 3rd Army now has 2 full-strength corps of infantry, which is spectacular. And these guys we can split up and add to our motorized units. What are you? You're just an infantry, I forgot? Alright, well the 7th Corps we will attach to the 1st Army as well. 7th Corps is the understrength corps. Wonderful. So, yep, got all those guys moving around, that's fine. How are the 2 units up here doing? I'm going to delete that corps, attach them onto our boats, and rebase you all the way up here in Calais. Wonderful. Okay, so with the addition of you, we have another motorized and another cavalry regiment. You are full. I'm going to call this good for now, so I'm going to create the 1st Armored. Corps. There we go. You're good. You are not good. Yep. Okay, you're good. I mean, you're only light armor. We might be able to upgrade you to medium armor. You need another cavalry or motorized. You're good, though. Okay, so this is the only one that's really, really hurting at this point. So what we are going to do is, once this unit gets up here, we're going to split off motorized and add... Well, we'll add the cavalry to this one. And we'll add a motorized to this one, and we'll build an engineer brigade. Just one of them, though. And we'll bump him up top. And this engineer brigade will be attached to this unit, and then that'll be full up. That'll be fine. There we go. Now we have a almost full strength 1st Armored Corps. We'll attach you to the 1st Army. There we go. 2 of these have medium armor, 3 of these have light armor, and we just need one more support unit down here. We might be able to sneak out. Let's see, what would it take for us to build another corps of this? We want engineers in there. Okay, to build another full corps, it would be very expensive for the medium armored units. And what if we were to build this as light armor? Still very expensive. It's almost the exact same price. Well, no. Medium armor is significantly more expensive. We'll probably end up building the light armored first, just to give ourselves more armored practical. And then build some medium armor. But not yet. We can't even build all the things that we have in our queue yet. So we'll keep going from here. But our 1st Army is coming together, and we now have an armored corps. It's nowhere near, I'm sure, what Germany will be able to deploy. But hey, you do what you can. Oh, we left somebody here. There's one more infantry left. All right. Well, we'll be able to throw them on one of those corps. Just as soon. Transport you up there. There we go. And we did already add you to the 3rd Corps. Okay. Move up there. There we go. Okay, so now there's no one French left in North Africa. So we will, I think, rebase up to Calais. Oh, and our Indonesian troops made it here, so we'll add them to the 7th Corps as well. So the 7th Corps now has 3 divisions in it. So we just need 2 more to make a full-strength corps. Good. It's March. In April, we will have our... Italy's finally won their war in Ethiopia. How good for them. And it looks like they've decided to puppet it. Yeah, puppet of Italy. rather than annex it. So there will be some Ethiopian troops running around down here. I guess that's a good thing for Italy, because Italy normally isn't able to take over the Suez Canal, and so their colony down here in Ethiopia is completely cut off from any supplies that they'll be able to give them. Which means that since they're basically surrounded on all sides by, well, for one thing, us, and also the United Kingdom, they won't be able to get any supplies to any troops that they have stationed down there, unless they were to take over the Suez Canal, which is rather unlikely in my opinion. So, we'll see. Ooh. Daily descent change is bad. Less money is okay. We'll take less money, I guess. And yeah, let's influence Yugoslavia. And then, let's see, we have 4 free spies. Europe, Yugoslavia. We'll do support the ruling party. Sounds good. Make the ruling party stronger, and then attempt to bring them to our side, or at least keep them out of the Axis. Small arms advance is nice. Yeah, it would be a pain in the ass for us to research that anymore, so we'll move over to infantry support weapons. And none of this will really help us until it's actually deployed to our units, and that'll just increase the amount of upgrades that we need to spend our industrial production on. Another assassination attempt. Well, there goes our descent through the bloody roof. We really can't afford to have any descent. We're such a large and far-flung empire. If we were to, say, have a rebellion over here, I mean, we just withdrew all of our troops from it. There's no French troops in Africa at all. We really cannot afford to have any sort of revolution or rebellion happening anywhere. Okay, so let's take a look at the state of our navy, shall we? Okay, we have 1 carrier, which is great. We have a lot of battleships. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 battleships. And we do have the Dunkirk battle cruiser being built. So we're going to split the Baron aircraft carrier off into its own little thing. And how fast are you? You're 21 miles per hour. So we'll have the up-to-date Algeria heavy cruiser go with it, because it's not going to slow it down. And when the Dunkirk battle cruiser gets built, we'll put it in here with the Baron just to give it some protection. We'll put 2 light cruisers, both quick, and our destroyers are also fairly quick, so we'll add in 3 destroyers there. And you will be led by, yeah, sure, Superior Tactician is fine. And we will base you, since this is air support, I think that it would be best for it to be down here in, this is our Mediterranean task force. Okay, and now from here, really the point of the rest of our battleships will be to prevent the Germans from just running around willy-nilly, and to support the troops on the ground. So we'll have 1 outdated and 1 updated. I'm trying to reduce the positioning penalty as much as possible. That's a function of the total hull size of these units. So I want a small hull size unit. Yeah, okay. Positioning penalty 0 and 0. Both of these fleets are able to be commanded at 100% efficiency. This one has 3 battleships, 3 heavy cruisers, 2 light cruisers, and it looks like, yeah, 4 flotilla of destroyers, whereas the other fleet has 3 battleships, 3 heavy cruisers this time, plus 3 light cruisers, and another 4 flotilla of destroyers. But since there's no positioning penalty, this will be able to. They both will be able to fight at 100% efficiency and effectiveness. We will use the up-to-date battleship as our main battle fleet, and we will use the out-of-date flotilla as our reserve or backup fleet. Sounds like a plan. So when a unit in the main battle fleet is damaged, we will replace it with a unit from the backup fleet, and we can have both of them in combat. But we will favor using the main combat fleet. This is transport, and we have a whole bunch, really, of submarines. So we will organize them into packs of 2. We're looking for these ticks here denote how upgraded, how advanced these submarines are. So all of these are fairly old and outdated submarines. Really aren't going to be much use. So I want the older ones together so they don't slow each other down. And then I want the up-to-date ones together so they can have peak fighting efficiency. There we go. I think that'll be fine. And we will rename them. Alright, well, I'm going to call the first episode here. We have made it to April. Looks like our support regiments were pushed back to May for some reason or another. I don't precisely know why. Maybe there was some revolt risk, or... Oh, no, that's why. We changed our laws. They take 20% longer now. So yeah, they were pushed back to the beginning of May. That means at the beginning of next episode, we should be able to deploy 10 support divisions to our units, which will increase their fighting effectiveness quite a bit. So really, this first episode was reorganization and sort of trying to get our head around the position our country's in. We've made the decision to completely pull back from both Africa and Indochina here. We may end up... we're going to need to re-garrison our North African coast. There's no question about it. We can't just let Italy walk through here and march all the way this way. The better we can do down here, the less opportunity for them to cut off the Suez Canal and take it from the United Kingdom. So we might need to deploy a corps down here of infantry. Maybe we'll build some plain old motorized regiments. That's not motorized infantry. What are you doing? Maybe we'll build some motorized regiments. These don't cost all too much. But they're going to take a lot of fuel, which we may not have. But yeah, I think that's a good first episode. Thank you much for joining me. I hope you are enjoying France. We'll get to the fun soon enough. And I'm sure we're going to get our butts handed to us by Germany in no time flat. Thanks for watching the video, everyone. Feel free to like, comment, or subscribe if you so feel the desire to. If not, don't worry about it. I'm always welcoming to constructive criticism. Go ahead and leave it in the comments, or go ahead and send me a private message. Either way, I hope you'll join me for the next video. Thanks much, and I'll see you all next time.